What's up everyone, Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, a couple quick things. Check out my website, btcsessions.ca. There you can reach out to me directly to book your own BTC session. We can chat Bitcoin, wallets, proper security, whatever you like. All you need to do is scroll down to the bottom. There is a contact form there. And secondly, a big shout out and thank you to the sponsor of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin as collateral to get a Canadian dollar backed or a Canadian dollar loan. I tried it out myself. Essentially, the website has a little slider here where you can check out how much Bitcoin is required for a specific dollar amount, and the application itself takes about 2 minutes, and if you are approved, then essentially within 24 hours, typically your bank account will be funded. So when I tried it out, all of those timelines rang pretty true. Couple minutes to fill it out, and I had money in my bank account the next day. So highly recommend you check them out. Links for them will be down below, and every time you click that link, even just to take a peek, it does help the show. So go ahead and do that. But without further ado, let's dive into what was interesting to me today. And we're going to start with price talk because we experienced a little bit of a spike today. Now, it wasn't held for very long, but interesting nonetheless. So essentially, now this article was written before the spike happened today, but there's a few key indicators and a few key things we're looking at here. So this article is saying that the price trend is pointing towards 5,900. We've been gradually kind of rising through this ascending triangle for a little while here. You can see it there. And that ascending triangle indicates typically a very bullish sentiment where if you get an upward break, they are targeting just shy of $5,900 here. So they've said that the range has been pretty tight recently, kind of like the 5,100 to 5,300 range. And then they allude to the fact that Bitcoin could follow the price trajectory of Litecoin. Honestly, I think this is a bit of a reach. I believe that the reasoning for Litecoin's pretty solid rise over the first quarter of the year has been in anticipation of the supply halving, which will happen in August, somewhere around August. The supply of new Litecoin to the market is going to be cut in half, just like it is with Bitcoin every 4 years. Well, their halving is this year. And last time around in 2015, we saw a similar thing, albeit it was a much sharper spike and a correction afterwards. But yeah, I don't think that the kind of 100% or more quarter is going to happen for Bitcoin coming up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of pop up. I still am expecting a relatively boring year for Bitcoin until at least the closer to the end of the year, maybe the last quarter. But I guess we will see. Now, what is a possible reason for people being bullish on Bitcoin? Well, Mt. Gox, a famous exchange that imploded in 2014, there are a lot of coins sitting there that have been recovered that are waiting to be given back to their rightful owners. Well, litigation and some details that I discussed in yesterday's show, which I will link, they're talking about litigation that is going to hold up these proceedings, and all of those coins are going to be probably not given back to their rightful owners for potentially a couple extra years. So those are coins that could have possibly been dumped on the market now, suddenly taken off the table, which seems to be relatively bullish for some people. So I just want to show you really quick what happened with the price today. So currently we're in the low 5,300s, but there was this spike earlier today that corrected pretty much straight back down to the same range. So we were sitting around 5,300 and then it just broke upwards. And on some exchanges, now looks like it's probably mirroring Bitstamp, but I saw it on Bitfinex up as high as 5480 in that range, but yeah, it promptly popped back down to that 5300 kind of level. So if we zoom out here a little bit, so if we go to the 7-day, then you can see we've seen a lot of these lately where it'll pop up suddenly, it'll correct back down, and then the next time that resistance is easier to break through. So will we see a repeat? I don't know. Nobody can be sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. And let's take a look at the 1 month. And in there, you can see the crazy upward break that we had at the beginning of the month. I was out of town when this happened, so it was interesting to see my Twitter feed that day. But anyways, we had that spike that happened when we were around 41, 4,200, and all of a sudden, bam, up over 5K. So yeah, I would not be sad to be wrong about this, about a boring year, and to have it turn around and jump into another bull market. But I still am inclined to think that the rest of the year is going to be relatively flat, maybe popping up a couple extra K near the end of the year, but then some FOMO jumping in around halving time, and then getting into 2021, that's when I think we're going to see a repeat of 2017. Just manias, shitcoins pumping like nothing, brand new flavor of the week coins, and then probably another subsequent crash. But I guess time will tell. I'll link to any prediction videos I've done down below and in the cards here as well. But for that, that's it for price talk. Let's move on to something else. Now, this is an article by Bitcoinist, and they're talking about why Trump is unknowingly Bitcoin's biggest champion. So a few things that he's doing. So one of them is that he's making the Fed look stupidly unindependent. So he's basically been pushing them nonstop to stop with the interest rate hikes, saying that they're ruining the economy, that they don't know what they're doing. He's been basically shitting all over Fed Chairman Powell. So one of his quotes here. The only problem with our economy has is the Fed. They don't have a feel for the market. They don't understand necessary trade wars or strong dollars or even Democrat shutdowns over borders. The Fed is like a powerful golfer who can't score because he has no touch. He can't putt. Yeah, he's basically, it's kind of setting a precedent too for other countries to approach their central banks this way and start meddling. And yeah, it makes the case for I believe for money that can't be meddled with by anybody, whether it be a central bank or a president. So I mean, Bitcoiners already know this, but I think seeing stuff like this and potentially what the consequences could be will further drive people to Bitcoin. Now, he is, on the other hand, appointing pro-Bitcoin staff in high places. Now, he may not knowingly be doing this either, but he's throwing in people. He's got Mick Mulvaney as budget director, and he has a pretty decent knowledge of digital currency. Now, what else? He's got a few other people going in high places, but Mulvaney is kind of the one that draws the most attention. I don't think this is that big of a deal, if I'm honest. I think plenty of people in high places are already dabbling in Bitcoin. It's just not public knowledge. So, yeah. And the other thing is that economic uncertainty is the perfect storm for Bitcoin. 100% agree with this. When you look back at things like Cyprus and Greece, the financial crises there, the banking shutdowns, the bailouts, everything, those tended to coincide with spikes in Bitcoin price. Not necessarily because the people there were leaning towards Bitcoin, because I mean it was tough to get any sort of money at that point, and at that point you still have to feed your family and live, so it wasn't a high priority. But in those instances, people on the outside looking in went, oh shit, this is what can happen when banking fails, when central banking fails, when a currency fails, and then they, as a hedge, started stocking a little bit of Bitcoin. And we see it every day with Venezuela, and this is where it's actually being used, where the currency has just completely plummeted. It's been hyperinflation through the roof, so you see it littering the streets of Venezuela, and people have to turn to alternatives just to survive. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. And this is an interview from Max Kaiser, or a quote from Max Kaiser from the Kaiser Report. Bitcoin adoption has always been driven by bank failures, bailouts, bail-ins, and political unrest. So yeah, I've got to agree with most of this list other than point number 2. And I don't even fully disagree with that. I just think it's not as big of a deal because there's already going to be people seeing the writing on the wall, and they'll be holding Bitcoin in the background. Let's move on. I've got one more thing here. Now, this story, I'm a little conflicted because it is about using blockchain technology for streamers and content creators. Now, I recognize the need for decentralized platforms, censorship-resistant platforms that allow content creators to be more directly rewarded rather than ad-based revenue, but directly from viewers. And viewers get to decide what has value. If somebody's watching it, then that person should be rewarded. And so this is an instance of the most popular YouTuber on the planet, PewDiePie, has partnered with a live streaming platform called DLive. Now, I've kind of looked into DLive previously, but never really done anything with it. I've seen a couple people on there playing around with it. It does kind of lean towards, it looks like Twitch to me when I look at the platform, so I'll just hop over here really quick. Yeah, so it's very Twitch-like. So interesting. I am going to be playing around with this, so more on that in a second. But anyways, PewDiePie has a ridiculous number of subscribers. He announced that he's going to be streaming on DLive once a week, I think, to start. Now, the thing that I don't like about this platform is that they have their own token, which I just find completely unnecessary. Anytime you create your own token, it's more or less a cash grab. I see it as anyways. So that's not ideal, but I'm kind of on the fence here because it's a step in the right direction in that you get rewarded for creating content and you can't have your shit taken down from what I understand. So I'm going to be playing around. If you want to check it out, then I'm BTC Sessions on DLive, all one word, BTC Sessions. And yeah, you can see here PewDiePie is getting ready to do his first stream in about 3.5 days here. So anyways, interesting. I'll let you guys know more about this if it starts being useful for me. Maybe I'll look at doing like live stuff on here as opposed to these kind of pre-done news shows and then stream afterwards. I don't know. But hey, let me know. Take a look. Let me know what you think of DLive, if you know anybody that's on it, if you think it's any good, and I'll take that into consideration. But lastly, guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit the notification icon because every time that these premiere for the first time on YouTube, I'm in the side chat chatting everybody up. So be sure to check that out. And if you really liked what you saw, you can do a couple other things. Obviously, my website. You can hit up my sponsor, Ledn.io. Or you can drop me a Lightning Network tip at tippin.me. I've got a link for that down below as well. And if you don't know how to do it, I made a tutorial and I'll link that in the cards. That's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow for your daily session.